What is the market saying about Gen Z?
What are some of the stereotypes you put about Gen in the workplace? Our attention span is very short.
Gen Z people are lazy and we seek answers immediately.
We're a bit too carefree.
With their social media habits, slang, and lifestyles, Gen Z seems to have a bad reputation, especially in the workplace. But are the complaints true?
They tend to be entitled. They tend to not be loyal.
My name's Jason. I've been a recruiter for 25 years, and a big part of my job is to be an analyst of the recruiting market. Now, recently, I posted a video where I was analyzing the recruiting market, and one of the comments in my comments section said this. It said, "I'm a recent college grad with a bachelor's degree and 4 years of work experience in my field that I studied at school, and I'm still struggling to land an entry-level job. I've had plenty of interviews from many large companies and preparing correctly and making it to final rounds, just not landing offers. Can you do an analysis on what it's like being a recent grad or Gen Z in the workforce?" That's what this video is all about. Now, what I'll tell you is this is a big deal to me too. I have 3 daughters who are all going through this particular problem, and I want to uncover exactly what it's like. So I'm going to do 3 different things. First, I want to talk about the market for Gen Z specifically, what the hiring market is like for you. 2, what exactly companies are saying that they think of Gen Z and why it might be a little harder for you than for many. And then 3, what you can do about it, what you can do in this scenario. First thing, let's talk about the market for Gen Z. What I want to talk about is an article that just recently came out from Business Insider. Now, Business Insider did an analysis of our jobs report, and specifically what they found is the unemployment rate has increased to 3.9%. Now, historically, that's relatively low. When I first came out of college, for example, the unemployment rate was around 5%, which was considered really concerning at the time. But 3.9% is historically relatively low. That said, it's the highest rate that we've seen in 2 years. More concerning than that is that the unemployment rate for recent college graduates for 20 to 24-year-olds is 7.2% versus 3.2 for workers who are over 25. So if you're 20 to 24, then it's 7.2%, 3.2% if you're 25 or over. That means that new college grads are facing a really tough entry into the market right now, and it's very difficult for you to land. 1 in 3 graduates coming out of schools last year said that they don't believe they have what they need in order to land a full-time job. That's based on a survey from Handshake, which is a college-focused job board. It remains a super tight market for those of you who are just now coming out of school. I'm curious to know your experience in the market as well. So in the comments section, if you could just let me know what you're seeing, how many times you're applying, what you're seeing. If it was really easy for you to land a job, I'd love to hear that. I've not heard any of that from anywhere lately, but I'd love to hear your experience as well. If you'd like me to check into something else, let me know there too. I respond to all of my comments. I'd like to ask you to subscribe and hit the like button. That really does help me out. Now let's dive into what we know about what companies are thinking about Gen Z. Here's what we've learned. There's a study conducted by a research group called Intelligent, where they surveyed 800 US managers, directors, other executives involved in hiring. New York Post has written an article about this analysis, and it's come up with some really interesting insights and some things that the market as a whole is saying about Gen Z. Here's what it says. 39% of respondents to this survey say that Gen Z candidates struggle to pick up on professional cues, and they're more likely as a result to hire older workers. About 60% of employers said they're willing to offer more benefits and higher salaries to attract older workers rather than recent grads. For the same reason, 48% of employers are offering more remote and hybrid positions to older workers, and 46% are willing to hire overqualified candidates, meaning candidates who can't necessarily find a role that meets their maximum qualification level, so they're downgrading a level. They're more likely to hire those people, even if they have to pay a little bit more, because they're finding it very difficult to interact with this younger generation, with Generation Z.
I've heard about these stories so many times. A young employee who may feel they're in line for a raise
but is so uncomfortable to go to their boss and ask for a raise that they just quit, that they would rather quit than have an uncomfortable conversation. And then sometimes it is followed by an angry email that says, I'm undervalued, you don't appreciate me, you underpay me, you know? And I've heard it happen so many times where the leadership is like, what? We would have happily, like, I'm sorry, we were either planning on giving you a raise, we'd happily give you a raise, you know? And it's really uncomfortable to walk in your boss's office and be like, hey, I'm working really hard. Can I have a raise, please?
1 in 5 employers reported that recent college grads are generally unprepared when it comes to interviewing for a job. Many struggle. Over half of those surveyed said that Gen Z struggles with eye contact during interviews, meaning when they're interviewing, they're not maintaining eye contact, and it feels like they're disinterested, not being able to hold their attention during the full length of the interview. Candidates in this age group are also asking for unreasonable salaries and have dressed inappropriately for in-person interviews. 63% of employers consider Gen Z employees to be entitled, while 58% said they get offended too easily and are overall unprepared for the workforce. Let's talk about that just a little bit. The entitlement piece is a new thing, and this is where people are oftentimes saying, hey, I'm not going to work for the wage that you're offering me. That's not a living wage. This idea of a living wage is a big deal. And living wage is a different story in the market than it used to be. Now, what I will say, to Gen Z's credit, you are correct. We've had a 76% increase in cost of living since the 90s, while we've only had a 19% increase in wages since the 90s. So we have seen wages grow, but they've not kept up with the increase in cost of living. It's much harder to live. It's much harder to find a way of living. Now, what that means is typically in past generations, we would have to adapt. Now, it was also a very similar situation for me when I came out of school. My first job out of school was the equivalent of $24,000. Back then, I also couldn't afford to live. Employers aren't looking at your wage and deciding if it's a living wage or not. That's actually not something that's entering into their calculus as they do it. What they're looking at is, does this wage align with what the market pays for a similar job? So they're doing these compensation surveys, and there are compensation professionals in HR. That's all they do is set what a person ought to be paid. And what they're doing is they're saying, other people in other companies that have this amount of experience, what are they paid? And they're determining the market value of the job. And we want parity. We have the idea, this concept of parity, meaning people doing roughly the same job should be paid roughly the same amount of money. This is something we all agree to most of the time. For example, we'll see these studies that say men are typically paid a little bit more than women for doing the same job. And we think, oh, well, that's not fair. That's because we want wage parity. We want people who are doing the same job in one place to be paid the same thing in another place. That makes a lot of sense to us. That's what people are doing when they set your salary. That's what the companies are doing when they're deciding what they ought to pay, is they're looking for parity in the market. So when you say, well, that's not a living wage, I'm not going to work for that. Okay, well, the market says that's the wage that this job is worth. You probably need to look for a different job. And you should only go for jobs where the market says it is worth what you think you ought to be paid. That's the thing to change in that situation. Okay, 21% of employers have said Gen Z struggles to even turn on the camera during virtual interviews or video interviews. So in video interviews, not turning on the camera is a problem. You've got to turn on the camera. And they wouldn't do a video interview if they didn't care about that. They would do a phone interview. But instead they're doing video. They want that camera on. If you refuse to do, that's a problem. They say that it's an option, but really you'll be considered less if you don't turn your camera on. Nearly 20% of employers said they've even had a recent grad bring a parent to an interview. This is the most egregious one of them all. Do not bring mommy and daddy to your job interview. I do this for a living. My kids get advice from me when they go for jobs. I don't go to their job interviews. I would never go to their job interviews, and they would never have me at their job interviews. You shouldn't either. Do not bring mommy and daddy. When you bring mommy and daddy, it says, I'm not ready for a big boy or a big girl job. Don't do it. Don't bring mommy and daddy to your interviews. It makes you look like you're immature. And nobody wants somebody immature. Nobody wants to babysit while they're managing. They want to manage professionals. They want to manage adults. Act like an adult. Don't bring mommy and daddy. 2 in 3 employers reported that Gen Z employees are unable to manage their workloads, while about 60% said they are frequently late to work and often miss assignment deadlines. It sounds like this generation is consistently not taking the responsibilities of work seriously. We have specific start times on purpose. We have deadlines on purpose. It's how we drive our business forward. It's how we make progress every single day. If you're not respecting that and you're not respecting what's being asked of you, you don't get to stay. And in fact, what happened is 47% of employers in the survey said they fired a recent college graduate, meaning they couldn't keep up with the work, so we released them. We let them go. Employers also noted that their youngest employees lack professionalism, do not respond well to feedback, and have poor communication skills. Man, you guys must be thinking, what is this boomer telling me all about how terrible I am? No, I'm not. I'm telling you about how there's a generalization about Gen Z. Now, if you identify with any of these things, you should think about yourself and think whether that makes sense or not, and whether that's going to be good for you or not. This is a study of 800 people that make hiring decisions. They're pretty serious. I would pay attention to this. All right. Here's the big question. What do you do? What do you do given that these are the perspectives that people have about you coming into the job market? What do you do about that? Here's what you do. 3 tips coming your way. Number 1, when you're looking for a job, look for lots and lots of different jobs and customize your resume for that. Number 2, understand that you are in control. There's not an external locus of control. There's an internal locus of control. You have agency in your own job search and your own decisions about which job to accept. You are in charge. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not. Don't let this market, don't let the people around you, don't let anything steal your agency. You are in charge. You manage your career. You have agency. There is not anyone else controlling you or deciding your fate. That's you. You're the one. So number 1, super basic. I tell everybody this first thing, customize your resume for every job. Number 2, don't let anyone steal your agency. Maintain that thought that I'm in control. I can drive this forward. I'm in charge. I can do this. Number 3, in the interview, walk in with confidence. Head up, shoulders back, eye contact the whole time. You own this thing. Maintain confidence. If you're on video, you look straight at that camera and you say, I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. I just went to school for 4 years to tell me how to do this. I know exactly what I'm doing. Don't be arrogant. Arrogance is bad. You don't want to come across as arrogant, but you want to come across as confident. It's okay to say, I don't know to something, but you can say, I don't know with confidence. You can say, I don't know the answer to that, but I can look it up. I can find the answer. That's not hard. Or, sure, I know the answer to that. Here's a project that I did where we had that same problem that you just presented me. Interview with confidence, posture up, shoulders back, make eye contact. You own that room. Own it. I'm putting up a bunch of resources here that can help you. There's a playlist where I've walked through every step of the process, step by step on exactly what you need to do, starting with an overview of what the process is overall. So I'm putting that up for you. All this is totally free. I don't ask you for anything. There's a ChatGPT, custom GPT I built that helps you customize your resume. There's a video on how to use that here. And then if you're getting depressed, if you feel like you've been doing this forever and you're not getting anywhere, I know exactly where you are. And I've actually been there before too. And I did this video here to talk to you about job search depression because I think that's an important topic. All right. Best of luck in your job search. You can do this. You're in control. You're going to make it. Takes a little longer now, but everybody makes it through. This too shall pass. Good luck in that search.